Welcome back to Season 2 of Dis Media, a Startup Story, the podcast where I take you along our journey of starting Dis Media from the ground up. You get to hear all about our challenges and accomplishments as we either grow Dis Media or go bust. Either way, you're going to have a front row seat to hear it all. And along the way, we're going to have some special guests who share with us their wisdom and insights and what helped them along their startup journey to success. So get ready as we get into it and try to help those get better at what they do. Welcome back, everybody, to Dis Media, a Startup Story. I am your host, Ben Olmos, and my counterpart in crime, Alan. Alan, how are you doing?
I'm doing peachy keen, wonderful, glad, and excited to have Danyelle here and Keith as well. So thanks for the invitation and looking forward to a great session.
Look at that. Alan's just stepping all over my lead. I didn't even get a chance to introduce these guys, but that's okay. That's how we do things.
That's what co-hosts are for.
It's shared responsibility around here. So joining us in addition to Alan is board member Keith, and our special guest for this episode, Danyelle, who also serves on the board of Dis Media and is a contributor on the Daily Pitch. Danyelle, how are you doing?
I am fantastic. I would steal Peachy Keen, but I'll let you have that one, Alan.
Throwback what? Wednesday, Thursday? We losing track of my days. One of the things that we're trying to do in episodes that seem to be scattered across our episode library here is give people the opportunity to learn about the people that are on the board. And way back in episode 1 and 2, I was talking about the board. We've had several board meetings, but in episode 2 in particular, people were chiming in, introducing themselves. But for the most part, not a lot of people have heard from folks since then. And so these sessions give an opportunity to, one, for us to just have fun and catch up, but also let people know more about you, the work you do, your expertise, and more importantly, I don't know, more importantly is a good word, but as importantly, why you were lured in by my story of, hey, I got this thing I'm trying to start up. What do you think? Danyelle, let's kick it off with you and give us a little bit about you and your background and what you do and what brings you here.
Oh, that's a loaded question, Ben, but let's see. Well, where do I start? I think the first thing I'll say is my background, my journey has been a bit like a global excursion, if you will. From a business perspective, from a personal perspective, I love what I do, and I'll get into that in a minute. But I've spent the last 20 years just on a great journey within my life and my career. And I'll start first with the career perspective. I have worked, and actually we used to work with Ben at the Coca-Cola company, but I've worked for Fortune 1,000, 500 companies, worked with senior leaders, C-suite leaders to help them show up better and be ready for change. In a nutshell, that's what I do. I help organizations and teams and people be ready for change. So people always hear people say, "Oh, change is hard. Change is inevitable." And I'm sure you've heard that change is inevitable probably throughout your career.
Oh, yeah.
But yet people still haven't gotten that right. We haven't gotten change right, even though it's inevitable. And so what I do and have done for the past 20 years is to help people realize change. You don't have to just reinvent the wheel, right? This is what we do. It's what we know. We already know how to change. So I just help amplify what that looks like for organizations and for leaders.
Something that I heard a while ago that I think makes a lot of sense for what you do is most people view change as something being taken away from them.
Yes.
And you have the distinct pleasure of walking into a room where people feel like their world is being altered in a way that it is, many things are being taken away from them, and you've got to help coach them through all that.
Yes.
Which is a big order.
It is. It's a tall order. And I appreciate you saying it. It's not, and when change happens, right, you have a choice. Nothing's being taken away from you, right? I help people understand the choices that they have, the choices that they can make through the change process. Now, in many organizations, there are titles that they would give me and others in my practice. They call us change managers. Okay, I'm not necessarily a change manager, right? I am a people readiness practitioner. I help people get ready. And if they choose to be ready, then that change can be managed. We stand in choice. And so that's really how I use and how I craft my style of leading change for organizations. I do it, yes, as a practitioner with a very pragmatic process and steps, but I also do it as a coach and I coach people through. So I have, again, a very eclectic background in understanding not just and how to get businesses to shift and make and pivot and make big transformational change. I also have that same talent, if you will, for people, helping people make that pivot and make transformational change.
It's to me, it's a very intriguing piece of business. And I think the reason why I will just say I could not do it, and certainly not do it to the caliber that you do, is that my sense of pragmatism and I just want to get things done, and I don't
Yeah.
always want to muddle through the emotions of the change. I just want to get there. It would make me horrible at your job because people would not like me. And at least I'm well enough to acknowledge that fact,
I
right?
appreciate you, Ben, and I appreciate the career choices that you have made, sir. This is not for the faint of heart, okay? I have seen some practitioners of change crash and burn. I've even met people to say, you know what? I don't want to do this. I've had people watch me like, oh, I want to get in this field. And they last 6 months. Some have lasted 2 months. And it's not for everyone. One of the main things you have to be able to do and do well is to really like people. You got to like people.
I like people. What do you mean? What are you
And you
what are you
have to be
saying,
patient.
Danielle?
And be patient with them in the
Oh,
process by which
okay.
there you go, that they have to go through to commit to the change process.
Danielle, if you told me I could go off of
You
mute.
go right ahead, Alan. Anytime, go for
Because
it.
Alan, you have been cracking up, and I really I
I,
want to hear what you have to say, my friend.
I'm fascinated by the career choice and what the inspiration was that led you in your 20 plus year journey to that particular field.
Oh gosh, I appreciate that question. It actually comes with a story. A lot of people in my practice come from the big four consulting firms. They've been practicing change through consulting for years. I did not come from a consulting firm. In fact, I've never worked for a consulting firm outside of my own. So I was working for the Coca Cola Company as a call center manager. And I'm going to age myself here. And you can edit this out if you choose, but if you want to keep it, that's fine. We were converting from Lotus Notes to Microsoft.
Wow.
Yes, wow, yes. And so someone said, we need some people on the team, on the change team, to be change agents, change champions. So I raised my hand. And what they did was trained us on how to lead change, the process of change, a little bit of human behavior in that. And I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty fascinating. And I was a little burnt from working in the call center. So I'm like, this could be a good career pivot. So I started to research. Fast forward, after we did, in fact, convert from Lotus Notes to Microsoft, not without incident, by the way, won't go there. I did some networking within the company and said, what would it take for me to get this job? I want this job. And so for anyone listening to this podcast, if there's something that you want, go after it. And I did. There was no role, there was no job description for what I needed at that time. But I had someone, a leader that says, I'm going to put some bets on you and I'm going to figure out how to get you on my team to learn this practice and maybe to be able to do it long term. And he did. There was no job. He created it. It was a junior role. I took it. Again, another lesson for those is sometimes you may have to start a little bit at the junior level to get where you want to go. And I did. So I took the position. Let me back up. I earned that position. And fast forward 20 years, here I am. So the choice was really through experiencing people going through change, and really just there is some pragmatic steps that people have to follow to go through the change process. It was intriguing. And the life cycle of projects, oh my gosh, is even more intriguing. And I'm a true Sagittarian, so I need change. I need change often and frequent. And I get bored. And so that's another reason why I love what I do, because I get to do different things all the time with different people around the world. Thank you, Alan, for that question.
Yeah, Alan, that was a great question. Danielle, one of the things that I have always enjoyed just about you and working with you and just seeing you grow and I think something that you mentioned there is I remember when you took that opportunity and you actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was a step back from what you were doing because you were already a people manager
That's
and you
right.
had a team and you were going into, I'm not sure if it was a lateral or a step down individual contributor role, and you
Right.
were taking that visibility off of you of being a team manager and doing something that was more, you didn't have direct reports and you had projects but no people,
That's right.
and then you grew it from there. I think part of the journey that people, as they think about their careers and advancement and where they go, is seizing on things that, if it is something you feel that you're very interested in, even if it means taking a step back, less money, less exposure, to reposition yourself and rebrand yourself and then take off in a new direction. And then that led you to doing stuff like literally work all around the world with the company.
That's right. That's right. If you Here's a couple things. I have several models that I follow, but one is, if you treat yourself like a business, you're the CEO, the owner. You're not the founder because that's your parents, but you are the CEO of your company, your brand. How would you run your organization? If if you really just sit back and say, how are you managing your brand? How are you managing your business? You are in control of it. And for me, I take strategic risk. And I believe in the investments that I've made through my education, my certifications, my travel, partnering with great people like yourself and others. That's not for nothing, right? You shouldn't be doing things without knowing how to invest in your future. And so when I accepted the position, and it was a step back from people manager to individual contributor, it was a risk. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. All I did was read a bunch of books about change management and said, okay, I'm a change manager. And I failed the first 6 months of in that role, working on a project. I failed,
Yeah.
but I learned, and I got a mentor, and I worked with a coach. I continue to invest, because if you fail, think about technology. There's been a lot of failures across technology. Did Apple close shop? Absolutely not. They got better. So you go out and you get the feedback, you do the work, and you continue to invest. And that's exactly what I did. And so again, the point here is, treat yourself like your own business. And when you look at yourself and your brand in that way, then you will begin to think about, what strategic risk am I willing to take with my career? And I did it. May not work for all, but it definitely worked for me.
There was something I was thinking about as you were talking about stepping back and being an individual contributor, and you you had initially consumed some books, probably got real confident in the words, maybe really inspired by what you were reading. And then you tried to put that into practice. And that's when you realized that you didn't quite have the experience of what were in those words and in
That's
that
right.
coaching and in that feedback that where people are saying, like, and you had to go out there and get beat up a little bit
Oh,
to
yeah.
in order to learn, in order to get better at it. And that's so much of, I think, just getting better at what you do. And
Yeah.
how do you manage with working with a generation of people who are emerging leaders today, that are younger? Alan and I had a brief conversation about this yesterday, of people who are in a hurry to be at a certain level, to be fulfilled by the work that they're doing. They want to have all of this meaning behind what they're doing, but they haven't yet put in the time and the energy and effort, and they haven't gotten kicked around yet. They want all of the accolades and the respect without necessarily going down that road of trials and tribulation. How do you manage through that and people of this emerging generation that are
Yeah.
like
Wow.
that?
Okay. Now I laugh because I recently had a client. So I am also an executive coach. And most of the clients that I am coaching at the moment are younger, very young. And I just worked with a biochemist and going through his own transition at his company. And one thing that I've learned having two young adults, one 29, one 27, is I need to do three things: be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. Now, be brief. With my client, I ask one very simple question because they got all the answers, right? They know everything. And I just start with one simple question. And that question could be anything. What does success look like? What are you trying to accomplish? How can I support you? The brilliance comes with the listening and really understanding the rock under the rock with this generation. Yes, they have the answers. Yes, they want to move fast. They want all the accolades, but we have got to listen. Those who are more senior in our careers and who understand and have all the degrees and the certifications, that's great. But if you're not listening and checking in with the younger generation, you're going to lose them. They have a lot to say, and guess what? They're pretty darn brilliant as well. They just need help in sometimes narrowing the scope of their vision or their mission. And so I do that by listening and understanding the rock under the rock. And 9 times out of 10, let me not be too crass here, 8 times out of 10, I already have the answer in my head, but I'm not here as a coach to provide answers. I'm here as a coach to help unearth what it was already in them. And that's where the brilliance comes. Is really listening, helping bring out the brilliance in other people, whether they're different or not, right? This is all about understanding and meeting people where they are. And when that I achieve that goal, I'm gone. Be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. And so I know that was a very cursory way to answer your question, but the key here is to really listen, check in, and bring out the best out of people by coaching versus telling them what to do.
Yeah, I love that you
Danyelle,
said that. I actually go ahead, Keith.
I was going to jump in, and I have so many questions. I want to know what models you follow. I want to know how you prepare. But I learned immediately you must be a great coach because you said be brief. And so I'm just wondering, I need you, I think, in a number of areas in my professional life, probably elsewhere. But what does a day look like? A day of preparation, then a day with the client? And do you have one that
Yes.
just sticks out that is a template for what you do, or is it different every time?
It's not a day. I don't do days because I love my personal time. But the preparation and when I work with a client, and actually one in preparing to work with the client, I qualify them before I work with anyone because I'm not for everyone. I have a t-shirt that says I'm not for everyone because I'm straight to the point. Again, my 3 B's: be brief, be brilliant, and I'm gone. I don't coddle, I don't nurture. I'm not your mother, I'm not your counselor, I'm not your therapist, I'm not your brother or your sister. You hire me to be your coach, and I'm going to coach you through.
Maybe I
If
don't
you are
need you
not
then
coachable,
as much as I thought. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
there
It's
you go.
fascinating.
No, but here's the deal, right? Any coach worth their salt, right? And ethical coaches are not going to just take your money for the sake of taking your money. I'm not going to do that because this is my brand. And so I qualify people to ensure that we can work together. and for whatever amount of time that you want to work with me. The other is I want to be crystal clear about what it is you want to accomplish, not your laundry list of 32, 3,200, 3,500 projects. What's that big low hanging fruit that you're trying to accomplish? Actually, I'll give you three big rocks, and we're going to go through them one by one unless you want to change them. And so qualifying, understanding what success, what do you need? What are you trying to accomplish? And then there's some accountability in that. See, as a coach, I am not the one holding all the rocks. It's you, it's the client that holds all the rocks. I am here to help you sort them out in a way that you can get your desired result. And so there's not a day of preparation, there's qualification, making sure that we are a fit. There is getting crystal clear on what it is that you want to accomplish. There's an understanding of accountability and how we're going to work together. And there's follow up and in celebrations, hugs and loves and cries if we have to. And then when we're done, if we're ever done, and actually there is a time to be done, there is a definition of done here. You go on and you can continue to be brilliant.
That is a great way of putting it. Keith, did you have any follow up? I don't want to step on anything if you had any other questions.
No, not at all. I thought that was excellent. Thank you, Danyelle.
You're welcome, Keith. I would love to hear from you.
Oh, you will.
So Danyelle, I've got a question for you. I spent a good bit of time at Raytheon and in the military and the DE&I space, and I brought that over into my current mentoring and leadership practice. The 90s, not really a time for women and people of color to be moving through that space that you described. Could you tell us what the major challenges were that you faced both as a woman and as a person of color?
The 90s. Woo, Alan, let me tell you, I had a couple of kids in the 90s. Let me tell you, in the 90s, I wasn't capable of coaching anyone. I was still learning and growing. But here's the thing. I started exploring the idea of being a coach around that time because I was watching all of the Zig Ziglars and the motivational speakers and all the white successful men in the business. And I'm like, I can get on stage. I remember seeing Les Brown and I was like, there's someone who looks like me who can do this, a coach and a motivational speaker. So my interest in it was very, very young when I was interested in coaching. If I were to look back at that time, if I was ready as I am now back then, the challenges would have been really trying to prove to people that I'm capable of being someone's coach. And even today, as a Black woman and a coach, I still have some selling to do that I am still a capable coach. And I do very little of that now because I'm pretty confident in my practice. But when I was getting very aggressive in this practice, I had to do some convincing. But what I realized, again, going back to my motto, I'm not for everyone. And if I find myself having to pitch, that exactly, thumbs down, you're just not a client for me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not for everyone. And so it's still a challenge. If you do a little research on coaching, executive coaching specifically for African American women, I think we only represent 2%. Think about 2 to 3% of the practice. So there's some growth opportunity for us in the change management, and not change, coaching space. So I appreciate that question. We still have room to grow. Still have room to grow.
Yeah, Alan, that was a fantastic question. And it's one of those things that, and Danielle, I think one of the reasons I always have loved our talks and conversations and working together is because there is something that you and I both, I think, share, which is at the end of the day, we put our heads down, we work and we move forward. And in the moment of getting all of that stuff done, I am not thinking about what you just talked about because my focus and energy, I am not going to waste my time trying to convince you that I am the best person. Like, I'm going to show you that I'm the best person. And then, and then we will go from there. But I will say that a challenge that I have faced throughout my career is that, and man, this is one of those things that I don't always like to put a lot of focus, thought, attention thinking about it, but I know, or at least I feel like I have had to work so much harder and do so much more and prove myself, prove to others so much more that I belong in a circle than other people who don't look like me have had to do.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I don't think about it. But then there's a moment where you take a breath and you look back and you go, damn, why the hell am I having to work so much harder? And then person to the left or to the right of me just is like moving on, cutting through like butter, like hot knife in a butter. And I have to say, despite the challenges that I've faced, I can only imagine those challenges are even more difficult for you and have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben, thank you for sharing that story. I remember, gosh, I was working for a large company and I was in Tokyo, in Japan. And I was the only Black woman in the conference room trying to negotiate when we were going to implement a project within Asia, so the whole region. And I had something to say. And I sat there and they were going back and forth. And I have to understand and respect cultural diversity and all, but I had something to say. And they kept talking, banter back and forth, and I never spoke up. I was so far in my head about if I said this, what if I say this? I don't know, that I missed the meeting. And I share that story, and I say missed the meeting, I missed some really key points because I was so deep in my head.
Right.
I share that for a reason. We can get so far into our head in our own pool of what ifs, and this could be, and I'm having to work harder than others, and less on asking the questions or engaging. And so many assumptions, right? I've made a lot of assumptions in my career to now, when I go there, or if I go there, I'll say, Danyelle, stop. How do you know that to be true? You say you're working harder than everyone else. How do you know that to be true?
Yeah, it's a good point.
And so it took years of training to be able to stop and say, knock it off. You're working harder than everyone else. Maybe, because I don't know, my counterpart, who could be a white female single mom, is probably working her tail off around the clock to be able to take care of her children and go to school or try to get this promotion. And I'm sleeping well because I don't have kids at home. So again, I pause and say, how do I know that to be true? Now, there are still challenges for me as a Black woman in corporate America. Absolutely. But it's up to me in figuring out how I'm going to show up, how I engage, the conversations that I have, the relationships that I have. I believe every relationship or every conversation is the relationship. And so if I'm not being treated the way that I want to be, then I have to assess the conversations that I'm having. And then I can hold people accountable for certain types of behavior that I'm asking for. Again, it's still not where it should be in corporate America for Black women, but for Danyelle, right? I have made some significant changes in the way that I show up as a leader to demand the respect and the relationships that I want to cultivate at work.
Yeah, you know what? When I bump up against somebody who, I don't know, it doesn't want to move as quickly or just doesn't want to engage or wants to just slough me off, I can only imagine they do that with a lot of people. And I never try and, I guess I would say I don't exhaust too much energy and effort on trying to manage through that. My favorite saying from Bruce Lee, be like water. You go under, through, around, over. There are many pathways. Water always finds a way.
Absolutely. That's determination and grit, my friend.
Yeah. So Danielle, is one of the things I want to hit on before we wrap today is, so I reached out to you about Dist Media and gave you the pitch of what we were trying to do here. And I think over the last couple of months, we've gotten a lot more refined as to what we're doing and our purpose and all of that. But I don't know, give a little insight around what got you interested in this and, and what we're doing and what we're trying to build here.
Then we go back, way back in time.
Yeah.
And I think I'm quoting somebody, some rapper or something, whatever. But let me tell you, when you created this company, or at least when you shared with me your vision, I was sold after the first 5 minutes because of the pragmatic way that you're approaching this, the insights that you want to provide, the democratization of information, right? I don't want to read or hear about the corporate stuff. And I want to hear what's really happening in business. What do we really need to learn from business leaders and others? Let's have real conversations. Let's be authentic. That's someone's favorite word somewhere. And so when you share with me your mission and your vision about really providing high quality, real, pragmatic content to people who are interested, again, we're not for everyone.
Yep.
People who are interested, I was sold. And you provide for us a platform, right,
Yeah.
where we can express in a way that's unique. Now, if someone way back in when I used to work for, what company was this? Comcast. I had a leader who would red pen, and actually even our old boss used to red pen my work, red pen all of my communications. And I got to the point where I hated writing. I hated it. And I was like, I don't want to finish my doctorate because I have to write, right? Again, getting in my own head. But when you came to me, it's like, Danyelle, look, this is what we're going to do. I said, okay. And then even not too long ago, about a month ago, you're like, Danyelle, I need some content. Okay. And then I got on this writing binge and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I like this
Danyelle.
stuff. I really like this
Danyelle,
stuff.
my God, I am so happy with the stuff that you
broke the mold, man.
Leadership lessons from hip hop. You are tearing it up, my friend. And the stuff that you're putting out, it is really getting some good traction, like very well received too.
Yeah. You actually, in Dist Media, this company has really cracked the code for me in that I can express. I can talk about what's in my head all the time. I can stop wearing my friends out about my crazy thoughts and I can put it in print.
Yeah.
And I appreciate this platform, Ben. It's fascinating. And I'm so glad I'm part.
Yeah, and that is the vision of what we're trying to do. And I shared with you guys earlier in an update this week on somebody I'm going after to be a contributor. And one of the questions they asked is like, just about the content and the what's in it for them. And the thing that I put out there is that what I often see people do, whether they decide to go into consulting or entrepreneurism or they're going to do speaking, is they focus so much on putting their website up and then putting their posts out on LinkedIn and trying to connect with people. But the problem, I don't want to say problem, the challenge with that is when you do that, you're continually marketing amongst people you already know, and you're not broadening your audience to other people. And one of the things that we're doing with our content is we SEO optimize it. I have a content library and a social media management tool that helps us manage our content across all the channels we're pushing things out to. And unless a person is willing to, day in and day out, fine-tune the messaging, the hashtags, the images, the SEO optimization so that it gets the most penetration and the most reach, and do all of that. Oh, and meanwhile, still go grow your business and get clients and all the other thing. One of the things we're trying to do here is we will help boost your content and put it out to more people and give you an audience and get hopefully more engagement for you at the end of the day. And so I'm so happy that you've shared with me some of the LinkedIn comments and feedback that you're getting. And I would hope it's working.
I will tell you, I have some success stories. So I've been invited to talk about change and some of my work 3 times. So 3 other podcasts. I, like many, are looking for exploring other career opportunities. I've had people literally comment to me privately about my articles, and they understand the business that I'm in. Potential clients who want to work with me, of course, they go and looked at my LinkedIn profile. I've gotten a new client as a result. And so bringing this full circle, when I talk about treating yourself as a business and as a brand, what you put out there on social media is a direct representation of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it will speak for you on your behalf when you're not around. And so this media, this platform, and what the work that you've done, Ben, and his team to help elevate my message has been nothing short of brilliant and excellent for me. And I
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Awesome. I appreciate you because you bring some amazing wisdom to what we're doing. And you are an old friend and colleague. And I just love the fact that I still get to keep in touch with you and we get to talk and share ideas. So, well, awesome. Hey, I know we are bumping up against a hard stop for you because I need to give you some time to prep for something you have coming up. But I do want to thank you for your time and your energy, your effort, your wisdom, and all the things that you've been sharing with us. There's a distinct reason why I brought so many folks together. And I hope that people are realizing that everybody has a different talent that they're bringing to this. And Danyelle is definitely one that I love the work that she's done. I'm very familiar with a lot of the work that she has been doing. And just so happy to have her on board. As we wrap up here for our inaugural 2024 episode, I want to thank everybody for checking this episode of Dis Media, a startup story out. Also want to remind everybody that please check out the website, The Daily Pitch or dailypitch.news. If you get a chance, please subscribe to the newsletter because that way you will get a weekly update of the content that we are putting out. The news, the stories, the insights, information from people like Danyelle, people like Alan, people like Keith, people like myself. And we are so appreciative of you guys checking that out. Also, dip into our social media accounts every day on TikTok. I have committed in the year of 2024, every single day on TikTok and on LinkedIn, on our LinkedIn channel, as well as on Facebook. I am putting an update as to what we are doing with Dis Media. So every single day, if you can't get enough of me, you can get a daily dose on the Daily Pitch Update. All right, folks, thanks much. I appreciate everybody's time. It's been great. Looking forward to a great 2024. Our next episode is going to be fantastic with our special guest, Mr. Ken Arrington. Can't wait. All right, thanks much all. Have a good one. Thanks for listening to Dis Media, a startup story. This podcast was produced and edited by Ben Olmos and is a production of Dis Media Corporation. If you're interested in learning more about anything you heard on this episode, please reach out to us at podcast@dismedia.com. You can also get more information about this and other episodes or information about our guests by checking out dailypitch.news, our business and insights publication focused on helping managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs get better at what they do.